This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Rini.
Hey.
Hi,
Yeah,
Rini.
sorry about that, everybody.
That's okay. It's the Zoom technology, we'll never get really 100% used to it.
Well, it's that double authorization, whatever you call it. We have to put in the code. We have to do that at UMass too. So anyway, I think Jerry, who's there at in the call in?
I'm calling in.
Oh, okay, Jerry. Okay. Do you know if Mark's coming or John Workman?
John was here, but he didn't know if he could stay.
Okay.
I
Okay.
spoke with John. John's not going to make it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just take a few notes. Thanks everybody for coming. And I'll just turn it over to Jerry and Chief Billingsworth. All of you are aware of basically how this all came about, and we had a meeting back in the fall, and then the students came in. I'll talk a little bit about that, and I'll talk about a program in Northampton about that's focusing on geriatrics and dementia. But I don't want to run out of time, so why don't we just start by Jerry and Ian talking a little bit about the program in chat. And I just got the email, and I'm happy to bring that up and share the screen, although I'm not sure I can do that right now. But Jerry, you want to start, or Ian?
Sure, I can start. I had spoken with the police chief and also the fire chief regarding a couple of events that occurred with seniors in town, and I had asked if we had a reassurance program here in town, and they said not really. They didn't have a formal program. So I checked with the police chief in my hometown, and I knew there was a reassurance program there because many, many years ago my dad had started it when he was the chief of police. And I brought back some of the documents that the police department used down there, and of course their population goes from about 6,500 to 30,000 in the summer, and a lot of seniors. And I gave the documents to the police chief to see if it was something that he might be interested in, and he was. And so I asked the police chief in Chatham if we could use their documents as a template and, tailor them for Southampton. So I'll let the police chief take it from here.
Thanks, Jerry.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Ian.
So as you know, I requested that meeting back several months ago based on some of the observations, and calls for service that we went to, and I really wanted to try to see what we could do to prevent this, or at least mitigate what was occurring. I informed Jerry. Jerry informed me of the program and Chatham. So she got me some forms. I reached out to Chatham, actually to a former police officer at Southampton. He gave me the Word format, and I tweaked that to what I think would work in Southampton and things that I wanted specifically on the program. And I sent you an email of that. If you want, we can go through it. Whatever you prefer. However, what I'm hoping for is this, and I do believe, I think if we maybe start off with asking through the COA and maybe the library, and even, get some, see if there's any interest in this. And if there is, this is something that I think is feasible for us to do. And essentially the program is, they sign up, you have to have a lockbox, you give permission for police and anybody else through our represents public safety requested by us to enter the house if they believe somebody's in the house and that needs help. That's essentially what it is. And they will call daily between 5 and 10 a.m. in the morning. And there's specific numbers that they will call. And if they don't call, the dispatcher will then try to reach out to them. And then the last resort is we go to the residence and try to determine if someone is there. And if we can't make a determination whether or not they're not present at the house, with the lockbox that they're required to have, we'll make entry and see if we can render aid if needed.
That's a great idea because at least they're narrowing it down to a few hours versus a few days.
Sure, sure. And I've gone into specific detail of some of the past incidents. I will say just yesterday, we went on a medical call where the significant other had significant dementia. Her husband was in active cardiac event, and he was not going to go to the hospital because he couldn't leave her alone. Now, if he had this cardiac event and before he contacted us and he died, that woman would have no, his wife had no recognition of the current date, time, president. That's the state of dementia she's in. So what would have happened if that, this is what I want to try to prevent if I can.
Sounds similar to the previous scenario that was.
It was. In fact, the paramedics actually took her with them to the hospital in the ambulance with her.
Oh, that was a good decision.
Because otherwise he wasn't going.
That's usually the case. That happened actually to a family member of mine where, my uncle had a medical, he needed to go to the hospital. They took his wife who had dementia with him, which I don't know if that's common, but I guess nowadays maybe that must be a necessity.
I imagine maybe the hospital staff has some social workers there to help with that.
Yeah. They have a case manager in the ED if she went to Cooley. Wow. So is this 7 days a week?
This is every day.
Every day?
And this would be opt-in, so that people would choose to participate in this program, or would you make suggestions to certain people in town about participating?
I think both. It would certainly be opt-in, but if we encounter or we know somebody, it would be worth our while to let them know the program because they might not know about it if it exists.
Mm-hmm. Did Chatham say like the lockbox being mandatory? Do you think that's going to be a barrier? Do you think people are going to be opposed to that? Or do you think that people are pretty willing to get one?
I don't think so. The lock boxes were really a great idea. My mom had one, and she didn't have dementia, and she certainly had, family members that were checking on her. But still, if somebody wasn't there and she called for the ambulance and she was having chest pain, somebody can get right in that house and in minutes. And I think once folks understand, it gives them peace of mind. Yeah.
I know that the Friends of Southampton COA had donated a couple of lock boxes for the program that the students did. And I don't know whether or not, I thought that they said that they would be willing to fund any lock boxes of anybody that couldn't afford it. Joan, do you remember?
So it actually was Janet and Francine who finally donated them, but Friends did mention they would pay for those who
weren't able to.
Maybe we could get, a certain amount.
Yeah, they meet on next Tuesday. So before we speak on their behalf, I think we should
Well, I think at the Triad meeting also someone brought up that Home Depot often will, have grant programs or whatever for surrounding communities, and that may be, someone we'd like to reach out to.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Benton, I think. Maybe.
That was I know I did mention that because I was involved in a youth athletic league and they donated stuff.
Okay,
I know that the Boy Scouts had previously mentioned maybe doing some fundraising for lock boxes. I think we were talking about this in one of our meetings, but I'm happy to reach out to see if maybe that'd be something they'd be actually interested in doing.
Yeah. Joan, you'll be going to a Friends meeting, right, on Tuesday?
I am.
Could you ask them about that? Give them a little bit of update about this program and maybe ask them about that. And Kate, if you could check with the Boy Scouts,
Sure.
I'm happy to check in with Home Depot and just find out. And between, all of the above, I'm sure we'll make sure that we have them available for anybody that wants them.
And
I'll reach out to Flo because she's the clerk and they work on the agenda. So I'll reach out to Flo tomorrow.
Yeah.
there's
I've
a
also seen that
particular
Walmart. Oh, sorry, Chief.
there's a particular business in town that I'm going to reach out to as well. I don't want to name it in case they can't do it, but I think this would be a good avenue for their advertisement. And I believe based on my knowledge of the person that's the president, that they might support this program with a donation.
Oh, that'd be great.
I was
Kate, did
thinking
you
of
want
like
to say
Bank
something?
ESB or also Walmart does community donations, and this might be that might be another option.
They do them for about $1,500 a year if you apply.
We just have to make sure it's the right lockbox, because I don't know, there might be a couple different kinds. Ian, I'm not sure.
There, in order to, so what a requirement for me was, if you're going to be involved in the program, it's got to be a lockbox that's approved.
Yeah,
So it's going to be the same lock boxes that we have, or at least the same pretense. It's going to have a combination,
right.
and as long as it has a combination, and we know where it is.
And only the police have access to the combination, not family, not neighbors, right?
Yes.
Right, right. Do anybody else have any questions about it? I'm curious to know what Chatham said about what their outcomes have been. Like, did they get people to sign up? Have they, had to intervene?
There
how often?
was, they did, and I believe they said there's about 80 people,
Oh,
in
yeah, okay.
particular in the summertime, about 80 people that were involved in it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously would be a significant amount for Southampton to apply to our dispatchers doing a lot of the work, but I don't expect an outcome like that. But
Yeah.
that's why I want to see what type of interest we may get.
So if 20 people sign up for the program, it would be the dispatchers then that would check against the phone numbers or against the people and just
Right.
check.
We'd have a
would it be
template. We'd have
Yeah.
a template with every address or any applicant, if you will, or registrant, and we would check off when they called.
Okay, would
On a
they
daily
get,
basis.
would they get a voicemail? Would they get somebody on the phone?
They would get somebody on the phone.
Okay,
So is that something, now we have a deadline for the 15th of June that we could put in the July, August newsletter, which may be mass mailed. So is that something we want to go forward with?
well, why don't we, if it's okay with you, why don't we just bring up the document and you can just walk us through a little bit. We don't have to read it hand,
Sure.
but what I looked at just briefly had some really great information on it.
Sure.
Everybody see that all right?
Yep.
Yeah, so this is just about the reassurance program. So it's seniors and people with disabilities?
Yeah, I think, I figured we could include that because there might be, again, somebody that needs to be cared for by somebody. I think that's what it comes down to, where there's a necessity for care. I
Okay.
think
Or
that's the
someone
intent
that
of this.
lives alone too,
Well, that's in here, yeah. People that don't live alone, or
right?
Yep. That's all inclusive. It's not just a senior focus. I mean, it's senior, but it's not just seniors, which is important for the
I
rest.
think it's part of the spirit of the program, And so how it'll work essentially is, again, they'll call between 5 a.m., 10 a.m. If we don't get a call, the dispatcher will then call them. And if there's no response, they'll call the contacts, because perhaps the person went to the hospital or they're staying with family member and they forgot to call. And then the last resort, we enter the house if we believe that they could be in there.
And what Rachel mentioned is having a reminder, like a bold reminder near the phone. Call whatever number
Right.
it is on a daily basis or something, just to remind them.
There's on the last form, you'll see the call reminder, if you will, that they could post by the phone.
I want to ask people on where it's the paragraph that says participation in the program is completely voluntary. We all know that a lot of people that are seniors don't like to associate themselves as seniors. Everybody thinks they're too young to be a senior when they're like in their 80s. I just wonder if it might be a good idea to put also Board of Health, just because between Jerry and Kate, it might be a good idea to add Board of Health, just because we're including people that live alone, we're including people that have disabilities.
You're referring to the participation section, right?
Right here, yeah.
Okay,
In
so
conjunction with the Council on
Board of Health?
Aging and Board of Health. Yeah, I'd say Council on
Okay.
Aging and Board of Health as a service to the residents of Southampton,
Okay, all right.
or Health Department, whatever Kate and Jerry think.
Either's fine.
Okay,
And the police department locks the house up if, an individual is alone and has to go to the hospital too. The home is secured. So,
Mhm.
that's another thing that people are concerned about.
Mhm. No, this looks great.
Yeah, then we would add the phone number for the health department too in that final paragraph,
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
if they're gonna be included, yeah.
So this is the application form.
And I can
So
go
do you-
through why we have everything there. So obviously, if we want to send out notices, we have a mailing address if it's different.
Mhm.
Some have house phones, some have cell. We want both because they might,
Mhm.
and obviously an email address as well, so we can send out correspondence if needed.
Mhm.
So there might be other people in the house besides just the two people or the one person. So we figured, or I figured maybe three. If not, we can add more.
Okay.
And then it lists their major health concerns.
Mhm.
And on the back, there's kind of an idea of why we do that. Obviously, if somebody has, dementia or they have cardiac issues, we want to
Mhm.
know, okay, that's a reason for to go into the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or diabetes. I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
Diabetic shock, yeah.
This is something I wanted in there because we don't want to get attacked by a dog or.
Yeah.
Or
But
like,
also, if they were to
accidentally
go
let-
to the hospital, we want to know that there may be cats in there that are hiding that family
Mhm.
members need to know, because that's always a
Right.
concern of people.
you wanna
Yeah,
make
good
sure
idea.
they don't get out, when you're there and.
What about snakes and lizards? Just kidding.
All right.
We're good.
We don't want the alarm code, but we want to know if somebody has it, because if we can't shut it off, we can reach out to them and they can come and shut it off.
Yeah, good idea.
And
So
then
most people put their lockbox on the front door?
it all depends. Normally with the program that we have currently, we put them kind of where the resident wants them. Some of them don't want them on the front facade of the house. So
Yeah.
we have an actual file where it describes where each lockbox is. So if we go to the house, the dispatcher, it's through our computer aided dispatch system as well as a paper file.
Mhm.
And they can go right to that file and it'll describe exactly where the lockbox is, because some people don't want it out front. They get a little nervous that someone's going to find it and break it open.
Right, right. They must be hard to break open, right?
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Emergency contact, vehicle.
That's it. Just if there's a car there and we know that they have a car and we see the car there, that's more reason to believe that they're in the house.
Yeah.
And then this is what I added specifically. Chatham didn't have this, but I wanted to put this waiver in here for permission for us to go in. So they understand that, they're agreeing to it.
Yeah, sounds good. Great.
They're
Yeah,
actually, I don't know why that one didn't show up, but that should have
what?
that should actually have the information on who to call and what the posting you want to put by the phone. For
Oh,
some
yeah,
reason,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not there. But it
The
would
phone,
be.
I mean, the phone number or like
Phone
a,
numbers, yep.
oh,
And it lists two phone numbers, and if one's busy, then it assures them it reminds them to call back.
Janet, you said you ended up getting a copy of that? Did you say that
What?
there was somewhere where it had the number for the Council on Aging on the back, on the end? Does my copy just not have it for some reason?
The Council on Aging,
So I
It's
don't have it
really in.
either.
Wait a minute.
scroll up again.
Oh, sorry. Want me to go back there?
You asking about the phone number?
Oh, that number's not on page 1.
Yeah, you had asked to put them in, so we'll put them in.
No,
Okay.
but he was saying that page 5 had the information, but for whatever reason, it didn't come out. So.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
so
what I'm
the-
referring to.
Okay, so that
Page
people would
5
take, yeah,
is what they would post by their phone as to which numbers to call.
yeah, that's great. So it'll be like,
The other thing we could do is get, small magnets that you can just put on the refrigerator.
Yeah,
Because
like
if
the
you
file
put
of life.
paper up there, it's gonna get ripped and handled. But if you have one of those, information that's, magnetized, it might work better.
Mhm.
We used to have a magnet that would include someone's healthcare proxy and advanced directives. Nice little marketing thing.
Yeah.
They are
Right.
great. It's unfortunate. It's another expense if we're.
Yeah, it's an added expense. We can probably look into that down the road. Let's get the lock boxes first.
Right.
I think. with
Right,
this,
and we don't want
back-to-back-
anybody not to get the lockbox because they can't afford them either.
Right. I think either way that we'll manage to get those covered, then we can work on maybe some other system. But, we can evaluate first how well it's going and if there are any things that need to change. So you had mentioned a couple of opportunities to get this information out. Does anybody have any questions about the actual form? I think it looks great. Everybody good?
So my only question was, so would this be posted on the community website or through the through the community forum or the Council on Aging as, trying to encourage people to opt in? Or are we kind of going to do this as a trial to take some people that we're really concerned about and do a test run before really trying to encourage people to enroll?
Joan, what's your thought process on people actually? How many numbers do you think the receptiveness of it?
I will be honest that I don't even know who the folks in town that really need this. I don't. I mean, we've tried to have this memory cafe for about half a dozen months, and it really has been a tough draw. And there has been a couple that we found because of the fritter runs. We're going to their house and we know that the spouse has issues, but it has been a tough draw trying to even figure out who needs it.
I know for winter wellness checks that we do at the police department, I think there was only maybe 3 or 4 people after a storm that actually signed up for us to check on them.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much of how receptive it would be. But even if there's 5 people, to me, that's successful. Even if it's 1, I'm willing to do it for 1.
Right.
Yep.
It might be good even at the doctor's office, if there was, we'd have to figure all that out, but I'm sure there's doctors, but I know there's confidentiality.
Well, yeah, I can mention about the geriatrician, but I think that this is a hard population to get because they don't, a lot of people don't want to be too known because, their goal is to stay in their own home. So actually police and fire might be more likely to see these folks, and it might be a good idea to just keep applications in the cruisers. And if you have to attend to somebody to provide them with the information if they have any needs or something, but we can just do what we can to spread the word.
You can
We
give
mentioned
it
a
to the
couple-
social workers in the emergency room.
I was going to say either
Yeah.
case management because
Yep.
it's still an opt-in, and I think that the fire department and the EMS is a really good option.
Well, let's come up with a list of ways to publicize this, and then we can help in dispersing the information. So one would be Robert Floyd's Southampton News.
The reminder too. I think a lot of
The
people
reminder.
read that, the reminder.
Well, we may as well add the Gazette. They do public notices.
Yep.
And then also you mentioned the library, Ian, and also the Council on Aging.
The police and fire website or Facebook page.
Yeah.
You might even
And-
reach out
and
to some of
community forum.
their children, where they actually would encourage their parents to engage in the program.
And that's what we're finding out. It's family members that usually we find out from, or neighbors.
Mhm. We can put it on the, can we put it on the homepage of the town website?
Do you think that there would be any value in reaching out to like Cooley VNA or any other VNAs that might be coming in town?
I think that
It wouldn't hurt.
I
If
am
you want to
somebody-
divide and conquer this list, Rainey, I'm happy to, once we have the materials out, I don't have that application, but if you wanted to send the information or
Yeah.
make like a flyer, I'm happy to help make some of those phone calls.
Well, thanks. Well, I think you're gonna put out a final edition, right? Because right now that's in draft form and
Right.
maybe,
That was in
Yeah,
draft form.
draft.
Obviously, I wanted to get everyone's
yeah.
opinion on if there's anything more that you thought would be helpful or needed.
Okay.
I wonder if we should have like a cover flyer or something, you know, just as like explaining what the goals of the program is in addition to the application. That we could give.
I'm
case
going to
manager.
have to jump off. I have somebody at my door, unfortunately. Okay, so I
Thank you,
will.
Jerry.
Jerry, before you go, can I just ask you something?
Sure.
How many test kits are left in your office?
I'm gonna guess. Gosh, hold on just a minute.
She just gave me like 15 or 20, because I
Okay,
gave
yeah,
all mine to the
Ed,
library.
I had a feeling she had more than what you mentioned. There's free ones being given out. I think I sent that email out to everybody. I just wanted to see how many we had left. I think it's a good idea to bring them to the town meeting and pass them out. We don't want them, I mean, if
Right.
plenty of them available. If we have plenty, let's just bring them to the town meeting, and if you want me to help bring them over, I'm happy to.
Okay, I can get them over to the town meeting. We have a Board of Health meeting just before.
Okay,
And also, the state's allocated about 1,000, I think, no,
yeah,
1,080 to Southampton, but somehow they got my private Gmail account, and I've been trying to change it, and they can't change it. So, Kate, I'll have to catch up with you and see how we can fill that survey out, because we don't have Gmail here in the
Yeah.
town hall.
Okay.
okay, all right,
Okay,
sounds good. All
thanks
right, let me
so
know if you want me to help. All right, thanks, Jerry.
All right, bye-bye.
So when I type up the notes, some of these, obviously, police fire will do their own webpage. Hopefully Ed can help us with the main Southampton one, but we can just, if anybody thinks of any place else, any other place we can advertise it, that would be great.
All right.
I
And
think
Kate,
having
I'll
a
put up a
flyer
flyer.
would
It's a
help.
good idea with a very basic flyer.
Because that way if
to
you make it
advertise
big-
it, I'll come up with something for you.
If you make like a JPEG image, it makes it a lot easier to share with a graphic on Facebook, and it improves the visibility on Facebook.
Okay, that sounds great. Any other suggestions or questions about?
In terms of like sharing the list of, distribution, I don't know if we want to put that into like a Google document. Maybe we can just share it and.
Yeah, I'll put it in a Google Doc.
And then we can just cross
Yeah.
off who we've spoken to.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to add to it, anybody wants to volunteer or reach out to different places, we'll make sure that every place has a person to help out.
That'd be
I'll
great.
definitely bring it up at our memory cafe in 2 weeks.
Okay. So at least for now, Ian will draft the final copy of it and also a basic flyer. And Joan, you're gonna check in with the friends about the lock boxes. I'll check with Home Depot. Kate will check with the Boy Scouts. And then we'll hold off, and Ian will check with the business in town, and we'll hold off from Bank, ESB, and Walmart for now and find out, first of all, whether or not they're all funded, and make sure people all have availability of getting the kind of lockbox that is what Triad or wherever used to offer, okay? So I just wanted to mention that the students did a variety of things. They had a safety program. It wasn't, like massively attended, but they had good information. I have to say that ever since John Workman talked about setting a timer whenever you cook, actually, I'm doing that now. I burn vegetables all the time. So anyway, they did a good job, and they helped out with a variety of things, getting distributing the test kits and all that. They went over to Southampton Meadows and got a lot of the test kits out there. They did increase code red signups by 15%. So that was a good thing to do. There's a lot more people that are getting the notices. And then I checked in with a friend of Janet and Francine's. Her name is Laura Hummel, and she's spearheading a program which is privately funded with also a donation from Highland Valley. And it's a dementia program. And so just so you know, there is a geriatrician at both Bay State Medical Center and Cooley Dickinson. Dr. Starr is the geriatrician at Cooley Dickinson. I don't know, there've been a variety of people jumping in. Steve Bandera is the new palliative doctor over at Bay State Medical Center. He may also oversee geriatrics, but at any rate, both of those departments will end up getting this flyer. I think that would be a good idea to give it to them, because they do neurological assessments for dementia. So what this group is doing, spearheaded by Laura Hummel, who's a nurse I also taught with her this past semester at UMass, They have 50 people in the program right now, and Southampton is not in their geographic area, at least not right now. So she's going to keep me posted. But people from Leeds, Florence, and Northampton, they started the program with that. And it's a home visiting program. They go, and the referrals come out of the geriatric doctor at Cooley Dickinson. So once they go to have a geriatric evaluation, most likely for dementia or frailty or whatever, then they refer them to this program, and they make home visits, they make phone calls, they do case management, they try to hook them up with various services. They have just expanded to Easthampton and Amherst. She didn't mention Hadley, but that seems likely that they would include that. But right now it's just the Northampton, Amherst, and Easthampton. So anyway, that's the way it works. It's really out of that geriatric program, but it's not funded through Cooley Dickinson. It's funded privately with a donation from Highland Valley. So anyway, that might, if that program gets going, it might be a good program to mimic, and maybe we could get a grant to do something to try to bring it to Southampton now that we have a established program. I don't know, Southampton's unique, I think, in that some people go to Holyoke for healthcare, some people go to Cooley, and some people go to Springfield, which is less so for the people that are north of us. But at any rate, I just wanted to let you know about that program, and she would let me know if they increase funding and are able to expand out to our area.
I hope so. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They have 50 people, and the program hasn't even been going that long. So anyway, any other comments?
Thank you for
Justin?
arranging this meeting, and thank you
Yeah.
for doing all the research and trying to
Yeah.
get this up and running. That's really great.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Ian.
Thank you, Ian.
Very nice.
Got it.
Great. All right, so I'll write this as a note, and I'll also send out via Google Doc the list of the various places to publicize. And then I guess maybe once the program gets going a little bit, do you think there's a reason we should meet, sooner rather than later, or just wait until a month or two go by and see how many people have signed up and how's it going?
I
Yeah,
can,
that'd be good.
I'll send out the draft, I
Okay,
mean, the approved one, and maybe just through email, we can all say yay or nay, or,
okay,
if that works. And then as long as we all think it's good to go, we can try to initiate it.
okay. We'll make copies, send it out, distribute them, and then we'll meet sometime, maybe a little bit later, after a couple of months.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
great.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you
Take
later.
care.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.